Hello. Hi. Just smudging a little bit as we get ready to talk. How are you guys doing? Hi, Guppy. Tantric Pleasure. Nice to see you. Carrie Colleen. Hi. I was searching everywhere for some fire to light my little candle. It's dark here in Mexico, in Sayulita, and I wanted a candle. I wanted a candle and some Palo Santo because it's a full moon tonight, and I'm gonna do some intention setting for the new year and just settling into my space before I start traveling again. I'm going back up to Northern California, visit family for the holidays. So welcome. I'm so excited that you guys are here, and just gonna jump right into it. I of course want to invite you to a super special workshop I'm hosting tomorrow. It's a 2-day pleasure workshop, Ignite Your Pleasure. So it's really going to be everything about how to access pleasure in your body, how to gain the confidence to ask for your needs, how to understand what's blocking you and what may be preventing you from getting pleasure. And so it's going to be 2 days in my private Facebook group. There's a link in my bio. Go ahead and sign up there. And even if you can't make it live, I'll send you the replay. So that's why you would want to sign up, just in case you can't make it. It's going to be really fun and juicy, and I'm going to be sharing some special surprises and gifts while during the workshop. And tonight I just wanted to chat about, I wanted to open the conversation, right? So this is question and answer. If you have any questions for me, I invite you to ask. I'm a sex and relationship coach. I've studied sexological body work, so I do hands-on pelvic floor health. I do intravaginal work. I do scar tissue remediation. I do all sorts of things that you probably have lots of questions about. So ask me questions if you have questions about what my work looks like. I work all somatically, so I work with the body. Everything I do is real-time exercises and practices, so you meet yourself in whatever it is that you're going through in your life, whatever blocks it is that you have, whatever is keeping you from being your truest self. We access that in the body, and then we get right into it, and then we practice it, right? Because we really need practice as humans to get good at asking for what we want and to step into the power that we have, right? We all have power, we all have pleasure, we all have this like potential, we all have needs, we all have desires, but sometimes we get stuck in not voicing those needs and those desires because of, all the things along the way, growing up, our parents, society, culture, religion, all those things that trap us from being totally free in our bodies and living authentically in ourselves. So I could talk all day about that, which we can if you guys want. Remember, this is question and answer, so ask me any questions you might have. But I did want to share a little bit about my views on open relationships, because I've been getting lots of questions about that. And people are curious, and everybody has a different view on open relationships. And thankfully today there's a lot more of a discussion about open relationships than there was when I was growing up. And yeah, I guess that's where I'll start. For me, I was always a really super curious, sensual, sexual human being, and that wasn't always like the popular thing to be, especially when you're a young girl and you live in a small town. So I had to really hide my sensuality, and the only real relationship dynamic I knew of was being in a couple. I didn't even really know. I didn't know there was an open relationship option. And if there was one, I don't know, it felt very shameful to ask for it. It felt like the wrong thing to say that I wanted, because I thought I was supposed to be a good girl that, just liked one guy, and that's it. 1 year in a relationship, right? So I spent, most of my adolescence and early 20s figuring out what that looked like, which meant not really being super honest with myself and also with the partners that I was with. And of course that causes a lot of pain, right? That causes a lot of pain for not only ourselves, but our partners, our partners and ourselves, because we have to like sit with that grief, and we have to hurt the people that we care about, and it gets really, really messy, right? So what a beautiful other option there is of open relationships. But there isn't, there are more examples. There wasn't back then, and even still now, it's hard to find the right example of what that means. How do you start an open relationship? How do you find the courage to tell your partner that that's what you want to explore? That's always tricky if you're already in a relationship, or even if you're starting to date, right? Like you're starting to like somebody, and then you want to say, well, I'm also curious to keep it open, and that's just who I am, right? So I like to start by just acknowledging that open relationships are very honest relationships, and that's what I like to call them. Actually, instead of open relationships, I call them honest relationships. Hi Poon, how do you say your name? Punit. Hi Mal. Hi, lots of new joiners. So yeah, honest relationship. I say that because to be in an open relationship and have it work and have it be sustainable, you have to be really honest with yourself and with what you want. And generally, we want different things at different times, always, whether you're in a monogamous relationship or not. So I think for me, the greatest gain that I got of being in an open relationship and being in a very successful open relationship was all the tools that I learned in how to operate an open relationship with safety and with love and with care and with integrity, right? So you want to come and you want to first know what it is that you want. What kind of an open relationship do you want? There's many varieties of openness. For me, it was having a primary partner and having that like deep love, and then being able to be free to have sex with other people, flirt with other people, maybe even have like mild relationships. But it wasn't polyamory. It wasn't like straight up having full-on relationships with other people. For me, that's just not what I experienced in my open relationship. And so when I had started, neither myself or my partner had actually been in an open relationship. So we had to really navigate new territory on our own. And so our agreement was to just be honest, for honesty and truth to be the forefront of our... Oh, I see that you have some questions. You can just type the questions in right here and I can answer them because I'm talking now. So if you want me to answer them, just type them in right into the comment box. So we had to say, like I want to build this relationship, and I also want to be able to have my freedom to flirt. And for us, it was really about freedom. It was really about being able to be ourselves, not feeling confined, not feeling like if we wanted to explore sensuality with somebody else, if we wanted to explore just like spontaneity with another human, that we weren't going to be in trouble or shamed for that. And so at the end of the day, like really good relationships, it's about long-lasting relationships that have the intimacy, that have the hot sex, that have the love. It's about maintaining that support of evolution, right? Because we want to feel free as ourselves. And we also want to feel secure and loved and know that love is going to be there for us and know that we can count on that love. And we don't want to be judged for our desires, because sometimes our desires are out of the box of what our partner might want. And so we kind of confine ourselves when we just go into a monogamous relationship, especially for free-spirited people. And that was the tendency for me. Like I would get into a relationship, things would be great, things would be like hot and steamy, like you have that like lust, one-on-one lust for somebody for a while, and then after a while it's like, okay, I'm ready, I just want some new feelings, I want to talk to other people, I want to have other experiences, I want to travel. But because you haven't talked about the potential of you wanting that or feeling turned on by that from the beginning, it's hard to then bring it up. So my advice in starting an open relationship or even an honest relationship is really bringing up all the things that have come up for you in past relationships that you really like, even if you think it might turn off that person or there might be rejection. It's just so much better to say it from the beginning, because then you can have a discussion about it. You know, how does your partner feel about it? You may be projecting that your partner doesn't feel great about it or might reject you, but they might actually be feeling the same exact way, or they might be like, wow, that's really cool, I've never thought about that, or I love you so much that I'm willing to explore that, I've never done it. And so that's one of the biggest things, right? We really never know, and we can't project, and it's better just to put it out on the table and share. And we can also, I think, learning how to share in a way that's not a definitive thing, right? Sometimes when we talk to our partners in relationships, it's like, well, you're bringing this up, so it means that you want it. And it's not always like that. It's like, well, sometimes you just want to be a sounding board. You just want to have your partner there to be like, I'm thinking about this. I feel like I want to open up the relationship. I have no idea what that looks like. I'm, attracted to, women or other men, and I really like to feel what it's like to be in that, but I don't know. Can we talk about it? Can we feel into what that might be like for us? And then from that place, you can make agreements. Like, okay, so what is the relationship? What is the openness of the relationship going to be like? I'm sorry, I'm just seeing if there's questions. No, okay, we're good. Okay, hi Chris. Hi Trav. R to the 2 men, hi. Where was I? So yeah, making agreements about what feel good to you. And so every couple, that's why there's no handbook for open relationships. Every couple has their own ethics, their own values, their own ideas of what is hot, their own fantasies. So that's what's beautiful. You get to be really creative, and you get to really create what you want in your relationship. And again, this is why I call it an honest relationship, not just an open relationship, because I think these tools should be implemented in all relationships. Let's see, I have a question here. How do you recover your sexuality without shame after abortion? Off topic? Yeah. I'm happy to answer that. Well, I'm so sorry if you're going through that. I know that can be really, really hard emotionally and physically on the body. I would say, definitely give yourself time. Give yourself time and make sure you're around people that you care about and that care about you and that you can trust, and you can spend time with your body. I've had an abortion before, so I know what that feels like. And you can sometimes be really closed off, and that's okay. Listen to your body. Your body is possibly closed off sexually for a reason, because it's gone through something, and it needs to process that itself. So I would open up a conversation with your womb. I would open up a conversation with your pussy. I would talk about the experience. I would talk about your intentions of whether or not you wanted to bring this child in the world, like what happened in that situation, why you had to go through the abortion, and just talk to your body as much as you can, because your body will have messages that you may be cutting off and not allowing it to tell you, because you had to make a decision whether your body wanted to do that or not. And then you can also spend time, massaging and, maybe not having sex with other people or other individuals, but really spending time with yourself and awakening, opening, stimulating the senses. So castor oil is a great way to do that. I use castor oil with a lot of my patients when I do sexological body work and working with scar tissue and any kind of trauma or blocks in the body from those kind of experiences. So spend time with her, spend time with your body, cry, let that time pass. You're going through some grief right now, and grief takes time, and allow it to. You don't have to go right back into feeling and being super sexual, and pay attention to that. Pay attention to what are distractions in your life and what feels really good and nurturing. That's a huge topic and a huge subject, and I'd love to talk with you more about that if you want, but I hope that was a little bit of advice for you. Just sending you so much love. I really feel that. Yes. That's tough. It's real. Okay, yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, back into the open relationships. And, it's never easy, right? And I don't think it's easy in open relationships or monogamous relationships or any kind of relationship because, we're human beings and we're always going through things. And so open relationship adds this extra layer of really having to check in consistently. In my open relationship, it was long distance. My partner was living in New York. I was living in San Francisco. It was long distance and it was open. So we had to really check in all the time. Also, his attachment style was very different than mine. I'm very much more avoidant, and he's very much more anxious. Like, he wanted check-ins constantly. He wanted to know what I was doing. He wanted to be a participant of my everything. I was very much like more detached, unattached, and like didn't mind. I was like, I love you, you love me, we don't need to check in all the time. I didn't understand that, and that's just a difference of upbringings, right, and how we relate to people. So that was also a really great tool to understand attachment styles and attachment theory. Again, this is something that I work on in my courses and in my coaching. But it's a beautiful way to understand how you navigate relationships and whether you pull away or you really, really need like affirmation and confirmation in partnership. And if the two styles are very different, it can be very hard, and there can be a lot of misunderstanding. And then bring an open relationship into it. It's like you're having to talk about things all the time, because if I went out on a date last night and my partner really wants to know what happened and I didn't get to check in with him because I had work the next day and I didn't think it was a big deal, I would check in with him at night, then that's a problem because we're not like actually supporting each other's needs. And so that's a lot of what we had to do, and what I think anybody in an open relationship has to do. It's about what makes you feel supported in this open relationship so that the primary relationship feels super held, feels really safe. Because the last thing you want to do is hurt your partner. That's not the intention of having an open relationship. It's to have more love, to have more pleasure, to have more creativity, to ignite the freedom in your humanness and in your relationship. So you have to really tend to those things, and everybody's different. So you have to get to know your partner and your partner's needs, as well as the person that's coming in, that's joining, right? So however deep those other people are that join the relationship, you have to also be delicate to their needs too. That was always something, dating other people and being really clear in that, like always saying, I'm in an open relationship. How do you feel about that? This is just sex for me, or this can be more than sex, but my partner would have to know, how do you feel about that? I think integrity is a huge component in open relationships. Consent is a huge component in open relationships. And this is why I think it's so valuable, because you really have to practice. You have to practice all these tools. You don't have to practice all these tools in a closed monogamous relationship, because you don't have these things to share always, right? Especially with other human beings. Hi, Smart Trubin. Hi, Francis. Yay, you're here. Beautiful. So yeah, it's a constant reminder. It's a constant. Oh, that's my pug. Kevin. He's a barker. You have to always be asking yourself, how best can I show up? What are my needs in this relationship right now? And that's the beautiful thing too, when you set a relationship up and create this foundation with agreements, you have the platform then to go back and be like, hey, let's check in about our agreements. Does this still feel good to us? Do we still want to be in an open relationship? Does the open relationship that we have feel good to us still, or do we need to change? There was moments in my open relationship where at times I didn't want to be open. I didn't mind that he was open, but I just didn't want to be open. And so that there's an interesting thing that happens there sometimes when our partner is like out and about and having all these other dates and connecting with new people. You can feel this sort of like competitiveness until like, well, I want to go out on a date too. But if you're really not feeling it, and maybe you're nurturing something else like your work or creativity, or you have a kid, or we all go through phases. You learn how to really listen to your body and not be just driven by the relationship itself. So you have to, and that's where the check-ins come in, like, how are you feeling right now? I notice you're not going out as much. Do you, are you feeling upset about me still having these dates? How is that feeling to you? And then you have to be very honest so that it can continue to work. And hi, who is that? Just Deep. Nice to see you. What else? Does anybody have any questions, any curiosities? While we're here, been here for a little bit. And also for all the newcomers, I definitely want to share that, I'm having this amazing 2-day workshop tomorrow at 10 a.m. PST. You can sign up in the link in my bio. It's going to be all about pleasure, igniting your pleasure, about like what keeps us from being in pleasure all the time. This is pleasure not only in the bedroom, not only in our relationships, not only about intimacy, but also like just fulfilling life, right? What prevents us from really tapping into our pleasure? What have we been conditioned to do and not to say, and not to speak up, especially as women, right? Many of us like hold back from saying what we really want out of fear. And so we're going to get really deep into that, and then we're also going to practice a lot of beautiful pleasure exercises to get us ready, to get us aligned, to get us ready for the new year. And it's going to be super juicy. And yeah, going back to the open relationship thing, I would say that it was one of the most like valuable, relationships in my life, to have somebody that really didn't judge me and honestly, truly supported me and himself. You have to really stay true to yourself and hold the partnership as its own like vessel, right? So you have, your partner, and then you have the relationship, and you really grow to honor it like that and hold it sacred and feed it, right? Nourish it like a garden, like you're always tending to that aspect of the relationship. And it can bring up a lot. It can really unearth a lot. It can unearth a lot of fears. It can unearth a lot of the ego. It can unearth a lot of pain. And it can also really empower. It can really empower you to feel safe and connected to your truth, and to be able to communicate and to connect with other human beings in a sensual way, in a friendship way. Like, again, open relationship can be so many different things, and then you can also be open together, right? Like, you can participate and bring other people into your relationship, and that's like a whole nother thing, right? Like really being conscious and caring to those people that you invite into the relationship. Hi, Carrie, welcome. So yeah, what else can I share? Do you guys have any questions? Any other pleasure questions not related to open relationships? I love getting the questions. I'll give you guys a minute to see if I have anything to ask. I can share, I have all my books here. This is one of my favorite books. It's called Wired for Love. This is the one that's all about attachment styles, which I spoke about. And it really breaks down the differences in anxious, avoidant, and secure relationship styles, and how you will either pull away or over push. And so I highly recommend this if you're curious about attachment styles. Okay, I have a question. Thank you. Can you talk about open and long distance? Yeah, so I was just sharing, I think before you hopped in, that my relationship was open and long distance. I was in San Francisco, my partner was in New York, and we met that way, right? We had never actually lived together. And it really helped us. I mean, we had to set agreements, and we had to continuously check in with each other to make sure that we were on the same page, to make sure that we were including each other in our process. So the way that we did that was, before I would go out on a date, or before he would go out on a date, we would always chat about it, like through text or even a phone call, and we would kind of like amp each other up and get excited about it, right? For us, it was really about inclusion. We included each other in everything that we did, and that was part of our, yumminess, our deliciousness. There's actually a word called compersion. Compersion means to be turned on by somebody else, being turned on by somebody else. So it is that feeling of like, I love watching my partner be aroused. It turns me on to see them happy in arousal with, can be with somebody else. And that's what we both felt. We were both turned on by each other, like having these experiences with other people, because we knew that's what like fed us, and we knew that it actually brought more creativity to the relationship, because we would come back, we would share about these people, we would share about the night, we would also share about like how much we really wanted to come back to each other, and we missed each other, and the sex between us was so unique and different. Another thing is, we always practice safe sex, like with everybody else. Between me and my partner, we didn't, but that was our particular rule, and that felt really good. It also felt like there was this just difference in like the other sexual partners we had, and then the primary relationship. And yeah, as far as long distance, I think that for us, there came a point where we just like wanted to be together. We just wanted to be close to each other. I don't think that the open part didn't have an effect on that at all. But maybe I think we tended, at the end of our relationship, we saw each other really wanting to be with a partner, and so we started like having more of an emotional relationship with other people, and we saw that happening to both of us, and then that was something we had to talk about. It's like, okay, we're both craving that. We want more emotional stability. We want somebody to come home to. We want, somebody to be here. And now are we connecting more with our other partners than with each other? And so we had to discuss that, and we had to figure that out. In the end, we did end up breaking up because we were not able to move close to each other. But it was really that like ability to communicate so clearly and so in the moment about our feelings, our desires, our pains, through practicing an open relationship, that kept the relationship so strong. And we're still great friends today and love each other so much, and we still share about all of our partners to each other. So it was a beautiful way to keep that going. There's so much stigma associated to a man sharing his woman, so I can only imagine how difficult this is in reality. Yeah, totally. I mean, my whole thing was no double standards. I've met a lot of men, that that's the thing. It's like, open relationships, yeah, so we're gonna bring girls in. And I'm like, no, I wanna be with my own man, I want, or maybe even you and another man. Like, that's my fantasy and turn on. And so yeah, a lot of men are like, oh no, I'm not into that, which is unfortunate, and but everybody to their own. So you have to really get into it, and you have to stay firm, I think, as a woman, to be like, this is actually what I want. I don't want it just, I think a lot of women can get coerced into an open relationship style that isn't really true to what they want. And that is kind of what I had experienced before I experienced this really beautiful and integrity relationship. And as a result, in the previous relationships, I just ended up cheating because I still wanted to get my fix and my curiosity quenched with other guys. So you have to stay true. You have to stay true to yourself. You have to be real. Like, you have to be firm in what you want. Because if you don't stand up for yourself, then the relationship can take a different turn. And if you're not both being very articulate about what your needs are, and also having empathy and compassion for each other, and you have to be able to listen to the other person. Like, okay, I hear you. I don't necessarily agree, or I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that, but I hear that's important to you and that you want to try that, or that's going to bring you pleasure, let me sit and think about how I can support you in that. And that's always the discussion. It's like, okay, how can we support each other in our needs and wants and our evolution? Does that feel good to both of us? And you'll be amazed, like, you know, if you practice this, you might actually end up opening yourself up to more experiences. You know, the person that didn't think that they were into that, after sitting with it and really knowing why it's a big turn on to you, may then understand, like, okay, I get it. And that might end up being a turn on for them in the long run. So I think, you know, we're so restricted and conditioned that a relationship should look one way. And we don't have many great examples of open relationships and successful long-term relationships. So it's scary. And that's what blocks us, because we feel fear around that. We feel like, how can we have multiple loves and still feel that same strong love for each other? Well, it's totally possible. You know, think about when you have children and you have more than one child, you know, that, or your parents, you know, like, it is possible to love and stay connected more than one person. And it just takes agreements, and it takes communication, and it takes deciding how you want that open relationship to look. Okay, I am going to hop off now, but I love you all so much. Thank you for joining. It's been really fun. Please ask me more questions, drop them in my inbox, and I'll be answering some more Q&As next week. But please, if you're interested, I really invite you to the pleasure workshop. We're going to be going deep into lots of pleasure exercises and you know, just really like unmasking ourselves into what we want and how to ask for what we want. It's going to be tomorrow and Sunday at 10 a.m. PST. You can sign up in the link in my bio, and I look forward to seeing you all there. Have a good night.